Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us episode 152 for August 12th, 2015. That's me. My name is Russell Frost. I am your host for this evening. Mr. Danny Cooper is taking the week off, but luckily for me, I have the other half of this week's dynamic duo, namely
This
our man
guy.
from the Midwest, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be the other half. Looking forward to a fun show with only important people. This is going to be great. This week, we have only the best panelists and only the best listeners. So I don't see how this show could possibly fail.
I can't argue with you, Tony.
Right. And so I got to kick it off with yet another fat weasel. So, hold on. Let me get this rolling. And I have to apologize for missing last week. I was back home in Indiana, home again in Indiana, visiting friends and family, and not necessarily going to say where in Tell City in Indiana I was, but I did pick up some Bavarian pretzels.
And is Tell City, Indiana, the home of Bavarian pretzels? Is that?
Well, hold on.
I know some people in Pennsylvania might argue with you about the pretzel thing.
Yeah, but I don't know what Pennsylvania knows about Bavaria. It's Amish.
Yeah.
So these are started in 1858, hand twisted, and the ingredients listed right here: water, wheat, water, salt, and yeast. That's it.
I'm guessing those aren't the gluten-free ones.
No, these are not. These are not. Yeah. So, so excuse me here for a little bit. They are kind of hard.
Oh, I didn't even eat one on camera. I mean,
oh, there you go. Oh yeah. Enjoy the crunch. That's right.
Here, I'm quickly moving the. Oh, and Tony's mic is off. We lost audio on Tony Schaefer. I don't know why. I'm very sorry, folks. Tony's going to join us for the rest of the show by sign language. So watch the hands. They tell a story. Every movement has a meaning. Okay, Tony, come on. You can come back.
All right.
So, Tony.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Whose 2-minute topic shall we start off with? Yours or mine? Let's start with yours.
We'll start with mine. All right. I found this in Green Car Reports. I thought it was pretty interesting. Electric car drivers, to the tune of 9 out of 10, have told Ford via survey they will never go back to an all-internal combustion engine vehicle. They sent out surveys to 10,000 drivers, and what they found was 92% of battery electric drivers said that they'll never go back, and 94% of plug-in hybrid drivers plan to purchase another plug-in car. And that's just overwhelming in terms of statistics. I mean, that's a huge population of existing drivers, which shows that, not only do we have the current demand, which is growing, but we know that their next car is going to be not in, a pure on internal combustion engine, either a plug-in or a hybrid or an all-electric. They also said that 83% of drivers said they would consider installing solar panels. So couldn't really determine which came first, whether you have, whether these are renewable energy type people who buy the battery cars, or whether the electric cars and the plug-in hybrids kind of spurred them into the consideration of solar panels. And it's kind of hard sometimes to determine, which came first.
Whether they're just cheap bastards who don't want to pay for electricity.
Right.
Because we all know solar panels.
Yeah.
That's me being facetious, of course.
Now, what they did find, I just wanted one more little fact here that said 90% of electric car owners have a second car that tends to be powered by gasoline. So that, that basically is what we've said for a very long time. A lot of people talk about range anxiety, but that one time a year I have to drive 300 miles. And so, you have a plug-in hybrid and an all-electric. and you drive that around. But when you need to take very long trips, you take the hybrid. That's it. Done.
It does seem like a simple cure. Many families have more than one vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And chances are unlikely, statistically, that both of those vehicles travels more than the range of most EVs. Ever.
Yeah. Right.
So
Exactly.
That's not. It's not the problem that I think people feel it is. Interestingly enough, Tony, this was one of the main topics on the news today. So we're just gonna chat about this for a minute.
Oh, okay, cool. I wasn't aware.
That's okay. They're just show notes. Nobody's supposed to read them.
Oh.
That was a dig at you, but I'm over it.
Hey.
I did think it was interesting. So,
wait a minute. I just now got that.
You did? I'm sorry. I'm slow. My writers took the week off, and I'm ad-libbing, and you know how that is with me. It's not such a big thing.
Hold on. I need another pretzel.
Oh no, you don't. Don't try another pretzel. I do. Anyone who's driven an EV or has experience with people who have never driven an EV and drive one probably aren't super surprised by this. The EVs are fun to drive.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different sensation. It's a different set of feelings. So the idea that satisfaction grows and stays with an owner isn't super surprising to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And to be perfectly honest, I kind of wonder what happened to the what was it, the 6% who said that they wouldn't buy another EV. Yeah. Okay, what bad experience did you have?
It's hard to say, but can you get 100% of people to do anything?
Yeah, well, that is true. Yeah, you're right.
93% was it? That's a pretty good success ratio.
Yeah.
Especially going from something like an internal combustion vehicle to an EV. That's a big change.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. And I know, you mentioned, going from internal combustion to EV, and, most people, the first time they're ever in an EV, they just have that giggle factor.
It's the EV grin, the EV smile.
Oh my God, yeah. And passengers, and I'm not just talking drivers. You get a passenger in an EV, and they just giggle uncontrollably. Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of fun. They're fun vehicles to drive, and it's like I said, it's the totally different kind of sensations that I think some of the cars like the Volt have kind of worked to kind of not have. But in other vehicles like an iMeV or the Leaf, it's a little more. It feels more like an EV. You know what I mean? And that's not a slap against the Volt at all. I think that the fact that the Volt is the Volt's success speaks to the intelligent engineering behind it. They make a lot of good decisions. So
well, and I think in addition to the emotional response of having an EV and driving an EV and enjoying the EV, you also have left brain, right brain. You have the people who are driving a Volt. They got a good deal on it. We know there were some huge incentives for Volts, so they drive it and they realize, hey, I'm paying 8 or 9 cents a kilowatt hour and barely putting gas in this thing. And then they end up looking at the total cost of ownership, and they realize that they've just been burning money literally with their internal combustion engine cars. And why would you ever go back to that? Once you get accustomed to saving $200, let's say, what would it be, 200? Let's go with $100 a month, $1,000 a year just to power your car. You would never go back. You would never say that's a smart thing to do, to go back to spending that much money for the pleasure of driving to work every day.
That said, and I've been the guy in this show who's been very, very vociferous about gas prices. Gas prices always go up. They always go up. That's what I say over and over again. Mm-hmm. And they do. Historically, gas prices always go up. But this year is shaping up to be a very interesting year. In the next 6 months, we might see gas prices continue to decline. A lot of people are predicting $2 a gallon gas come December, which, again, isn't going to stay there. It's not permanent, but it is going to be interesting to see how people react to that. We know that there's percentage of the population, it's going to flock back to the big vehicles because woohoo, $2 a gallon. All of a sudden, it doesn't cost me $100 to fill up my Denali. Yay!
Yeah, let's go buy another Denali.
Or 2 or 3.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting. Speaking of, gas prices always go up. Is the realization that this morning on my drive, gas was about 2.5 or less, maybe even 227, 229. I wasn't paying that much attention.
Wow.
I mean, I drive a Prius. I don't pay attention to gas prices.
Yeah.
But this evening, and I'm on Gas Buddy right now. I'm looking this up. Here in where I live, 319, 329, 289, 277, 339 down the road.
So you've gone up.
I have no idea what happened. It went up 60, 70 cents from this morning. I have no idea.
Wow. You see, I'm looking at like $2.50 a gallon.
Yeah.
That's come down a little bit. So it'll be gas pricing right now is volatile. It really is. We're using a lot less. Suddenly the prospect that we could be getting oil from Iran is changing things. I mean, there's a lot of changes coming, and sadly, I hope we don't slip back into old bad habits, because just because it's there and it's cheap doesn't mean that we should be wasting it. That's about as preachy as I want to get this year.
I know, but when you dangle cheap gas in front of stupid people with short memories, bad things happen.
Yeah, the Hummer.
You mean the car, right?
Yeah. Shh, Tony.
What?
Well, speaking of ways to save gas, Audi just announced the 2016 Audi A3 Sportback e-tron. They announced the price. Are you ready?
I am.
Wait.
Because I have it right in front of me.
$37,900 is the base price. That's without any local or federal or state incentives.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure where this car fits in.
Yeah.
This is interesting because, I mean, obviously there's lots of folks that love Audi and they're going to be excited about this, a plug-in. It's got an 8.8 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. It will recharge in a 240 volt outlet in 2 hours and 15 minutes. Normal charging in a 120 volt outlet takes about 8 hours. So no big deal. I think the range is, did I say? I didn't.
Wait, what did I say?
It's like 20 miles?
No, it says EPA ratings for range and fuel economy haven't been finalized yet.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they were projecting 20-ish miles. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be less than the Volt, which puts it in a kind of interesting situation. It's going to be a little pricier than the Volt. It's the Audi on the front, but it's also not going to have the range of the Volt.
Well, looking at the car, especially the side view, it looks to me like it'll fit the same niche as the Lexus CT200H. And by fit the same niche, I mean the exact same silhouette.
No!
It looks a lot like a CT200H to me.
Really?
Oh my God, yes.
I didn't see that at all.
Wait a minute.
Interesting.
What the hell is... Wait, hold on.
You're looking at the wagon.
I'm looking at the wagon.
Right. Yes, the wagon looks very much, but I think it's a little
bigger.
I think it's a little bit bigger. The Sportback, obviously looks something. I mean, listen, it's very European styling looking.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you just compared it to a Lexus, I mean, I think it looks very Euro, without the sort of kind of more extravagant styling of like the BMW i3.
It really is a stylish car. That is a good-looking car.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I'm not excited by it.
Yeah,
but it's nice.
Right.
I'd rather have $5,000 in my pocket in a Volt, and a brand new Volt.
Right. This is the sexy European girlfriend who won't do as much as your ex, but costs more.
Ouch.
Right. Yeah.
Is this the way you're going to end every story?
I could try.
Keep it up.
No, I mean, yeah. If you want to spend more and have less capability, but at least say I'm driving an Audi, then okay. But yeah, well, I know we should be saying congratulations, Audi. You've come out with a plug-in hybrid. Pat on the back. Way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah. Without any sarcasm at all. Good for Audi for finally getting this bad boy on the market. It's nice to see them electrifying their fleet a little bit. This is a step in the right direction, and it gives more people more choices, which, as we said, always a good thing.
Yeah.
If it may not be the most value-conscious choice, it's still a choice. You know, somebody may look at that and go, "Oh my God, that is the car I've always wanted," and it's a plug-in hybrid. You know,
right, and yeah, I mean it's value driven. Then Tesla wouldn't sell a single car. Neither would Lamborghini, Ferrari, and whatever. And you wouldn't have $100,000 sports cars. So I'm sure that they will have a niche for this, and they'll sell some, and they'll say, "Great,
yay!" Well, speaking of a desire for $100,000 sports car, our friends at the new revamped Fisker announced this week, in fact today, that they have signed a deal to lease a large factory in Moreno Valley. Now, this is just outside of Riverside in the Inland Empire in Southern California, for those of you who aren't familiar with the geography of SoCal, which means they're going to build the car in the United States like they originally had planned to, but never did.
Right. Oh, hey, Russell?
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone, but if somebody's not familiar with SoCal geography, just naming the cities didn't help.
Damn. I did say SoCal, though, right?
Well, okay. Yeah, that'll do.
Let's see. It's about 70 miles east of Los Angeles.
Oh, I know exactly where that is.
Inland, away from the beach.
Yeah, got it.
Very hot, and property's generally quite a bit less expensive, actually.
Well, and that's a perfect place to build a car that, just getting off the ground, I guess.
Arguably a car that's probably going to sell more pieces in California than in any other state in the country. Yeah, that is really the place to build them.
Right.
So it'll, good for them. I'm glad to see somebody, since I'm kind of a California fan, I'm glad to see someone building cars in the United States and in California. This has to come with like the standard Fisker caveat of if they do it, right? If they fix the car and if they actually go through and build the car, I don't know.
You better hope it doesn't break, because you may have a hard time getting it fixed. I was excited. I did see one.
A Fisker.
Yes.
They're nice looking cars.
Oh my God, they are. It's just, like all the way out here. Chicagoland. I didn't expect to see one here.
Sure.
Yeah, well, it surprised me. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we'll see. They're expecting to employ about 150 people to build the cars, and they're hoping to start up sometime next year. So in the spirit that we like to stay positive sometimes on this show, good for Fisker, and good luck. I hope that they start building cars near Riverside very soon. It would be fun to see them, and it would be fun to see a car actually. You know what? That's a car as pretty as the Karma actually work the way it should, and Oh yeah, I would love to see more of these cars rolling along, because between Tesla and Karma, the Model S and the Karma, those are just two simple, elegant, sleek, almost minimalist in design, but damn sexy cars. Yeah. It's unclear that the new one is going to look exactly like the old one, There are apparently designers with the new company that's based in China working with the new Fisker, and I don't know what they're redesigning, if it's just engineering issues or what. For all we know, a new car from Fisker could look like the Coda.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
it could be the iPhone clone of vehicles. It'll come out looking just like the Tesla Model S and be called, I don't know.
yeah. Didn't we had that car last week, actually. There's a company making a Model S clone.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's hilarious. Well, speaking of clones, we can't do the next story because electric car drivers tell Ford will never go back to gasoline. Tony's already covered that. So let's talk about more things coming out of China. Interestingly enough, the number one global EV car company, which claims it sold 5,037 EVs in June.
BYD,
yeah,
baby.
Not Tesla, not Nissan. BYD out of China. They, of course, build tons of, they have a very popular electric car. They build electric buses, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I guess they had a good, well, I mean, there's there's a few people in China, and some of that small group of people actually are very interested in electric vehicles. So,
well, I just did a quick Google search, and just to confirm something I thought I already knew, but you know who is the primary backer of BYD?
I don't.
Omaha's very own Mr. Warren Buffett.
Oh, I think I did know that now that you said.
Yeah.
And
everyone thought he was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of short-sighted. It's sort of a narrow focus when if the only way you judge BYD is by their success in the United States, because BYD's done very well in China, and granted, a lot of those products will never be sold outside of China, or at least not a lot of those products will make it to the U.S. because of the difference in regulations.
Right, but
China's a huge market.
China is a huge market and an awesome testing ground. So you become the number one world seller just in the Chinese market based on the Chinese market alone. And while you're building cars in China, you're working on the technology that will make your cars compliant in the rest of the world. And then you're already poised. You've got the factories, you've got the employees, you've got the technology.
You have the engineering experience. Sure. Absolutely.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Sure. Absolutely does. Yeah. Well, Buffett doesn't make a lot of bad decisions.
I got to buy a bunch of stock. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, go ahead. We're going to hold the show.
All right. Hold on. I need a
big pause symbol here.
Yep. Okay.
Are you rich yet?
Let me check. No.
So finally this week, Green Car Reports, our friend John Volker reported on sort of I don't want to say it's a twist, but an aspect of Assembly Bill 8 that was passed in September of 2013 by the California State Legislature that addressed the California funding 100 publicly available hydrogen fueling stations. We've certainly talked about that on the show, whether that's a good idea or not, yada, yada.
Nah.
Not really the issue. The issue here, though, is that as part of that mandate, 33% of that hydrogen has to come from a renewable source. It can't just come from natural gas, which is where most of it comes from now.
Yeah, right.
So they're looking at obviously other smaller companies that are making hydrogen in this manner to add that to these stations to make them compliant, so that then they can, so that once the hydrogen is there, then they can build the stations, and yay, happy Marianers can refuel their vehicles.
I think you would have a hard time in California convincing them that ripping water apart to make hydrogen is a good idea.
Not a state with a lot of extra water laying around right now.
Right. But it is renewable because it literally just falls from the sky.
Not,
Isn't that the definition of renewable?
not often enough. That's the problem.
Right, all right.
It does fall from the sky, but usually not in places conveniently located to California. If Florida could run a pipe from Florida to California, Florida would have a really good money, like just pumping water, because they were drowning a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
I guess the same thing too, but Texas is coming out of a bad drought and look back into one. Whereas Florida is going to be a damp place for a long, long time, maybe forever. Anyway, we're kind of getting off the thing. So the good news here is that, one of our criticisms about hydrogen has been the way that the hydrogen is produced, which Tony just brought up. So this assembly bill ensures that at least a portion of that hydrogen comes from a good source, from a renewable source. And oddly enough, what this does is it basically makes the carbon footprint of the hydrogen, the fuel cell vehicle, a little bit better than it was.
Just minorly better. Still not fully convinced on the whole hydrogen thing, primarily because, okay, you're ripping apart some renewable resource to create the hydrogen, but you're still using electricity to create the hydrogen. The electricity has to come from somewhere. So where's the electricity coming from? I mean, and it's not like I'm grasping from straws in order to just make an argument. I mean, this is one of Patrick's biggest gripes, that, as an EV owner, he takes the electricity off of the grid, powers his car, and drives it. And the hydrogen fuel cells are taking electricity off of the grid, using that electricity to rip something apart in order to generate the hydrogen that then has to be moved to wherever it's going to be used, and then it powers the car. And
which makes electricity to power the car.
Yeah, exactly. So just because you're using a renewable resource to create the hydrogen does not get to the base infrastructure as to where's the electricity coming from to rip something apart to create the hydrogen.
I think that's always been our problem. In the sense of those of us on the show that we've had with hydrogen, which is fuel cell technology is marvelous, but we need a good source of hydrogen, and we don't have that. We have lots of good places we can get electricity from. Electricity isn't the problem. Storing it is a problem, but generating electricity, that's easy. It's not tough.
It's easy, but it's not always clean.
Because we've made bad decisions, not because generating electricity is intrinsically bad.
Right. Yeah. Right. I still say I'm going to have to say before the century is over, just because I got to give some leeway. Okay. Before the humans were eradicated on the earth, I got to give a time frame.
By aliens from Sirius, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Before Andromeda crashes into the Milky Way, we will be mining landfills. It's not that far-fetched in my mind. I mean, think of all the renewables, all the organics, all the recyclables, all the stuff. I'm talking about bad decisions. Holy crap. Just how valuable are the landfills in terms of mineability?
Well, right now, yeah, absolutely, Tony. And what's going to happen is, as other resources become more scarce, the cost of those resources buried in the landfills becomes more valuable, and suddenly it's financially reasonable to go in and get that stuff that we casually tossed away.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I looked at these numbers was around the turn of the century. It was around 2000, 2002, and I was looking at aluminum. And I know that this has nothing to do, but we're talking throwing away things. We in the United States throw away enough aluminum every year to build the world's fleet of 747s. We throw it away, and then we mine more.
We also recycle a lot of aluminum, dude.
Right, but we still throw it away. We still throw away a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that we throw it all away.
Right.
It's just that we throw away enough that we could, in theory, either mine a lot less or stop mining.
That would be nice because, yeah, mining of aluminum is not especially pretty.
No, it's not. Yeah. Yeah. So, I just think at some point we're going to start going into landfills and finding things that we could turn into hydrogen, for example, or burn for fuel to generate the electricity to make the hydrogen to power the cars.
The jet. Oh,
yeah.
Keep
I
going.
wasn't sure how far I could carry that.
I wasn't sure either. It seemed like maybe you'd come to a point when I should just jump in there.
You probably should.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So there's we've already said on the show that the reports of hydrogen car owners not being able to get fuel for their vehicles is kind of frustrating. All 6 of them running around Southern California apparently can't get to the station. According to this article from our friend Mr. Volker on Green Car Reports, they fully funded and planned 48 stations. It doesn't say, however, at least I'm not seeing it, when they're going to actually build those 48 stations. But it will be interesting to see. We have roughly 36 operating by the end of this year. Excuse me, right there in the last sentence. And 70 by 2016. They claim that 70 stations will be enough to fuel 30,000 fuel cell vehicles, which, frankly, I question. That sounds kind of ridiculous. But especially since we know that there's not going to be more than, at the very most in Southern California, 2,000 fuel cell vehicles? Maybe. By the end of the year. Maybe there'll be 2,000. Probably not. Probably closer to 1,000 vehicles, assuming that Hyundai and Toyota sell all the ones that they're selling and leasing. So
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of this article is the chart on page 1, the 100% chart that shows that by the year 2050, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles will make up like 50% of all the cars on the road. That is a hell of an adoption curve right there. I mean, battery electric vehicles are just a sliver, and plug-in hybrid electric is actually going down, and conventional hybrid is actually going to go down.
I don't know. This is a very interesting chart.
Who made this chart and what? They were smoking hydrogen. That's all I can believe.
Can you smoke hydrogen?
They were,
yeah, pretty quickly, probably.
Yeah, you can't see it burn, but yeah.
Feel the burn, baby. Feel the burn. As always, if you go to whatdrives.us, you can get the link and you can look at this chart and you can laugh yourself silly, just like Tony.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah,
because this is hydrogen fuel cell vehicles to be 87% of the market. Really? Oh no. Excuse me. About 60% of the market. I don't see why they think hydrogen fuel cell vehicles would be so much more than battery electric. That's a really odd prediction.
Yes.
Don't you think?
I can't even explain it or rationalize it. You know me, I always try to find the other perspective. This is just, there's realistic, there's optimistic, and then there's just downright stupid. And this chart, not to call names or anything, but it's not realistic or optimistic.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense.
That's very odd. Very, very odd. Well, Tony, guess what?
Shortest show ever.
That's a very good question. It might be. We might be heading towards. Now we could draw this part out, but it's getting. Yeah, that's our news for this week. We should. Oh, you Really?
What? Instead of draw it out.
No one right now, just imagine the people wearing headphones hearing that in their yeah, and now beer. Sure.
Lee Moon, that one was for you.
This this is like every pre-show in the old days. Tony would eat his dinner before the show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we would play Guess What Tony is Eating by the sound because we didn't have video.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, mostly because I would just run home, grab something, throw in the headphones, and dial in.
And there you go.
Yep.
So, Tony, do you want to do some shout outs?
Now
that you're done with your pretzel?
Now that I'm done with my pretzel, totally unprepared.
Dance a little bit?
I really am. I can dance. I can. I want to give a shout out to all of the regular listeners and especially the diehard fans who have called us at 515-5015 and left a message, any message at all. You know who you are.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I think it was Danny, in fact, is the only one that's ever called.
But of course, I want to make sure and mention the Facebook page, facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Just do a search for What Drives Us. And yeah, like Russell said, you can go to whatdrives.us. You can download the links or you'll find the links and then go on Facebook on the page. And we actually have an opportunity to have a dialogue about it. So read the links, you have some feedback, throw it on the Facebook page.
Absolutely. And if my bitching and moaning on the show isn't enough for you, there's a nice little story where I whine about Faraday Future.
Oh yeah, that's a fun one.
Well, I don't know about fun, but it's there, and
right.
Kind of
also
cool.
Oh, and I also do want to say that it's not just us posting stuff, and that's great because I mentioned Lee earlier. I mean, Lee throws stuff up on the What Drives Us page on a semi-regular basis, and that is just great. It brings stuff to our attention. It allows us to engage, and you all know what we're reading because we talk about it. It's great to what do you guys see? What do you find? What do you think is interesting? So that's great. So if you find an article, throw it on our Facebook page. We'd love to read it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. As always, I want to thank Michael Manring for our theme music. You can visit him at manthing.com. Please buy a song or two. And as always, Michael, thank you for letting us use your music. Visit us at whatdrives.us. You can download the show in audio format. You can stream it in video format. You can stream it in audio format. There's all kinds of options. Our show links are always there as well if you want to visit the articles yourself, actually read them, which we most of the time do, and maybe drop in on the Facebook page and tell us how wrong we are. We welcome that. Tony especially loves hearing how wrong he is.
And it's a lot.
Yes. Yeah. So definitely whatdrives.us. If you stream us, obviously we're available on Stitcher and on iTunes. If you do stream us that way, thank you very much. Please leave us a review. Give us a few stars. Maybe say something nice. We appreciate that very much. That helps us kind of, make it through the day. We have tender egos here. Big, inflated tender egos. Mm-hmm. And we need the help. As always, my friend and partner in crime, Danny Cooper, has a shop. If you have a Prius and you need accessories, the only place to go is the Prius Chat shop. That's at priuschat.com/shop. His new cool hood for the multifunction display in the dash of the Prius, selling like hotcakes. It's like half the price it used to be and twice as cool. And it actually is. And Danny's the good thing about the Prius Chat shop, Danny actually tests everything in there.
I get to test some of it too.
Do you?
Yeah, because I have a Gen 2 and some of the stuff is specific to the Gen 2. So yeah, everything, you're right, everything up there is tested by Prius owners. And quite frankly, if we think it's stupid or not worth the money, then it doesn't get sold.
It never makes it to the shop. Unlike other places that just take whatever crap they can get to bilk you of money.
Right.
Danny wants your money, but he's going to give you something good for it. That's the Prius Chat shop commitment. We want your money, and we'll give you something decent for it.
There you go.
I think I should be in marketing.
You should look into that.
No, I think I'm done with that. Tony Schaefer,
Yes.
thank you so much for coming on the show and not making me do this solo this week.
Oh, it is my pleasure. I do want to mention to everyone, make sure and tune in next week when there will be a special announcement at some point during the show. Don't tell them that we don't have anything. It's just a trick to get them to listen.
Oh, wow. You had me thinking like, oh my God, Tony, are you pregnant?
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, okay. I know.
Yeah. Maybe. You'll have to tune into next week's show to find out.
Exactly. Tune in next week and find out. So, as I always like to say at this point in time in the show, download us next week and find out what drives us.